Welcome to YogiViews, where my guest is yoga itself, through interviewing those who practice it, teach it, sell it, or simply love it. I am Antonio Saucis. A lot of people do not practice yoga because they believe that they are too old or not flexible enough. This impression might come from mistakenly associating yoga with body movements only and leaving out breath work or meditation, for example. Others don't practice because they claim to not have time, thinking that yoga is only effective if practiced for more than an hour. The truth is that yoga is for all, and that it is effective practiced in the time you have, even if that is just 2 minutes. My guest today addresses some of these issues in her book entitled The 2-Minute Yoga Solution, Fast and Easy Stress and Back Pain Relief for Anyone at Any Time. She is Nicole DeAvilla. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nicole is an Ananda Yoga Therapist with a background in sport medicine's research, chiropractic physiotherapy, dance, and writing. She was one of the pioneer yoga instructors for prenatal and postpartum yoga and yoga therapy, and is currently a member of the International Association of Yoga Therapists Accreditation Committee. Nicole, it's a pleasure to have you back in the show.
Oh, I enjoy it very much. Thank you, Antonio.
And perhaps some of our viewers have not watched the other show. I would like to ask you then, what was your first experience in yoga?
Yeah, so that was way back in college, and I was taking dance classes, and a dance teacher offered a yoga for dancers workshop, just one weekend. And it was all asana work, and I just loved it. And I just started doing it every day. There's no explanation. I didn't make a decision. I just really took to it. There was something there for me.
And how did you come up with the idea for this book?
There are a couple of things. One, because I started having people who knew I was a yoga teacher in my community come up to me and say things like, well, I could never do yoga. And these are healthy, fit individuals. And I'm kind of like looking at it, well, why not? And I really believe they're looking at these beautiful models on Yoga Journal and these like fantastic positions, and they think they're going to have to do that if they go into a yoga class. And other people say, well, when I have time, I don't have any time.
Yeah, or what if you're a man?
Yeah, or what if you're a man? Yeah, exactly.
Then you're going to have to become a pretty lady.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there are a lot of these barriers, and at the same time I'm involved in research, and it's just showing that how beneficial it is for all of these people, for different populations to do yoga. And it's really, here's the thing, it's the simple yoga that tends to be most effective that shows up in the research. It's not the fancy extreme things that are beautiful to look at and appreciate, but it's those others. So that's was the problem I wanted to solve for people. But the 2 minutes came up when I was working with the Being Adept Drug and Alcohol Prevention Program for middle school students. And I was thinking, okay, I've got 1 or 2 hours to be with these kids and give them some yoga techniques. And no matter how wonderful I can make that experience, what can I do to help encourage them to practice after I'm gone? I thought, well, I've got kids. If I give them a handout, it's going to end up on the bottom of the backpack. It's never going to be looked at. Little business card thing, same thing. And I thought, they're on YouTube all the time. They're on the computer all the time. And I said, and they probably have a short attention span too for how long something would be. So one afternoon I was sitting on the couch with my son, teenager, and I said, so what do you think? I know the video needs to be short. Should it be 5 minutes? And he's just like shaking his head, too long. 4 minutes? No. 3? 2. They'd watch 2 minutes. And that's where it was born. And the interesting thing is I started saying that to adults, 5 minutes, and the adults were like, okay, 2 minutes. Yes, I could spare 2 minutes.
Yeah. And Nicole, what are some of the principles that you share with the readers in your book?
Well, first of all, I want them to be safe, first and foremost. So we talk about posture, alignment, and talk about making sure it's pleasurable, that it's not going into an area of pain or discomfort. to back off if that should happen. So, and then besides the actual simple practices I try to be very clear about, not get fancy with them, is I also talk a lot about motivation to practice, ways to integrate it into your lifestyle. Because no matter how wonderful yoga might be, if you don't do it, it won't do anything for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, in your book, you mentioned 8 practices, correct? Mm-hmm. How did you come up with just 8?
Right. So I wanted to keep the book short and simple, and I wanted to just cover a few different basic things that would be helpful for people with general things like maybe some general back problems or stress issues. So I wanted to make sure there were some things standing, some things sitting, some things on the floor, and also to have a deep relaxation. So I was able to cover all those areas that I felt were important in 8 practices.
And could you give us an example of one of the techniques?
Right. Well, the all-time favorite, as the chapter is called, is what we call legs up the wall, where it's what we call restorative pose. So it's the most difficult part is getting in the position. So you're lying on your back, just flat, or maybe you need a little pillow or something, and letting your legs be up on a couch or up on a wall. And your job is to relax and breathe and let go. Mm-hmm. So that's a really simple one, but some are more active and standing as well.
Now, as you mentioned, there is some research to back up the effectiveness of these postures. Is this research you have conducted particularly, or that you have gained contact with?
Yeah, so some of it's my own research, but I really drew from a wide variety of disciplines to pull in the research and talk about it. So behavioral psychology, for example, educational research on how the brain works and learns things and retains information so that once they read things, they could put it into practice. And neuroscience, again, a lot of what we end up doing with our body is affected by what's going on in the brain. So I drew from all these different disciplines as well as the science that's actually showing breathing, body positions, and the pranayamas or meditation and so forth, that they're effective tools and techniques to use.
Okay, so you're not just in the book, do you also mention some techniques, meditation techniques or pranayama techniques as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, and I wanted to correct myself. I never said the word pranayama, which is breathing exercises. I tried very hard not to use Sanskrit terms. It's a different language. So if you're just being introduced to yoga, and you don't need to learn a whole new language. So those are the breathing practices and some meditation techniques too. Again, very straightforward, very simple, so that really anybody can do them.
You also mentioned lifestyle changes. Why is this important?
Well, you can do any good habit for a short period of time occasionally, and that'll be, you'll get some benefit from it. But let's say if you're doing the yoga practice because you have a neck ache or stress, so you can do the yoga practice, go, oh, I feel better, and then you go right back into doing the same things that caused that stress, that caused that neck tension in the first place. You're always fixing, and you're just trying to get some relief. But if we can look at what are we doing that's creating that tension, that's creating that pain, can we do something different in our life, in our daily activities, then we can maybe get at the root of the problem.
What are some of those lifestyle changes that you refer to?
So posture is huge, and we spend so much time sitting at desks, at computers, driving cars. So that's one of them, learning how to be tall and relaxed, to breathe throughout the day. Some of these are just very, very simple. And to move. Our bodies weren't meant to stay still all day long. So really talking about how to move. There are other lifestyle things that I maybe just touch upon but don't really get into in the book, but a healthy diet's important, and getting enough sleep and so forth as well can really impact how you feel and your health and well-being. I mentioned some of those more in a second book I've just written, an ebook, 7 quick tips to squash stress and beat back pain. And I talk about things like the sleep and the movement and so forth in that one.
Huh. And is this book ebook is for sale or as the other? Because I understand that you also have an e-version of the book, of the written book.
Yes, yeah, you can get the written book like on a Kindle or
yes,
something like that. So this is just an ebook, and I'm actually really wanting to encourage people to get their feet wet and apply some of these practices. Even people who maybe are taking yoga classes but don't know how to apply the lifestyle aspect of it in simple ways. So I'm offering it for free. If people go to the website and just sign in, and you can also get some really good tips through the newsletter.
And has this proven to be effective in leading to sales of the book?
Well, it actually just came out this week, so
so you
so
still
we'll find
don't know.
out.
Exactly.
So we'll find out.
So you'll find out.
I hope so. Yes.
Yes. Yes. You also have, if I'm not wrong, you also have a full line of clothing or some clothing items and water bottles and things like that. Mm-hmm. And how do they? Are you having some sales there too? How do they relate to the book at all or not?
They're just more for inspiration, and people these days like to wear their shirt or have their coffee mug that says something about them. So that's basically why I developed it. It's very much a side business. I don't really promote that, but it's there for people who like it. And the mugs are the most popular ones.
Well, maybe because a lot of people drink coffee or
yes,
tea. Yes,
exactly.
How do you feel has your book been accepted?
I've been really grateful. It's been very well accepted. And I've talked to people from all across different parts of society, because there was that idea of 2 minutes for people in the yoga community. You're like, oh, I mean, what do you mean just 2 minutes?
Exactly.
But when people ask me about why 2 minutes, or they read the book, they're like, wow, this really makes sense. So I say the title sometimes throws off the yoga community. But again, once they get into it, they're very supportive, and I get really good feedback. And then I've had other people who are just like so thankful. They said, this has made such a huge difference in my life. I never thought I could do yoga. And now not only can I do yoga, but I'm immediately feeling the benefits of it. It's really helping to change my life for the better.
And perhaps it's helping some some people that are not yogis, that haven't started to precisely start. Are you also selling in other parts of the world?
Yes, I do have sales throughout the world. Really, yeah, it's kind of neat. Can see.
Do you find any difference? Because as we know, it is a very American thing to do it fast and quickly, but it's not necessarily shared all over. Do you feel that there's a difference or not in the sales that reflects this reality?
Yeah, well, I think it might be that I've taught students internationally. Either they've come here or I've gone over there. So I think some of the sales probably are people who know of me or know me personally. I also write in a lot of articles, not just the journals for the scientific research, but in other periodicals. So I think probably the people are either attracted to it because of a previous connection to me, or people in other countries too are feeling a lot of the same stress pressures that we feel here. And they're like, hey, is this that fast and easy? I'm into it.
Yes, yes. And as a writer, have you had fun writing this book?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of things came out of this book as I was writing that. I really try to feel that the writing's of service. I really try to feel inspiration and not just kind of talk about something that interests me, but the whole time. And I would just really find that sometimes I was really getting into that inspired space, that things would just come out and I wasn't even sure where they came from, but they made so much sense. So it was very gratifying and a wonderful process to write the book and see how it came out and how it came together.
You are, or you have a background in physiotherapy as well, right?
Working with a chiropractor, teaching posture, doing ultrasound, muscle stem work, things like that.
Do you feel you used some of that knowledge in writing the book as well?
Well, definitely that's where a lot of my first introduction with the postural work came from. Some of it was in college with the dance training and learning body mechanics and so forth. But I really saw there and had the experience of working with people to try to help them with their posture. And then seeing both, I had a lot of injuries myself that I've had to deal with. And
back injuries?
Back injuries, I've knee injuries, pretty much every joint in my body.
I'm asking you because it's very common now that someone who has helped himself or herself with yoga then writes or wants to share the work.
Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced all because I've trained horses. I've done a lot of things that were, not so healthy on the body, and they finally catch up with you. So I found that sometimes even when you're healthy, your posture can be a little bit off, and and it's okay. Maybe you'll get a little stiff neck at the end of the day or something. But once you've been injured, I find it's extremely important to have just that really more perfect posture. Otherwise, that misalignment, like say in a knee, maybe you just slightly hyperextend your knee. But if it's injured and you continue to slightly hyperextend it, it may not fully recover. So it becomes even more important if you've had an injury.
There are a number of books in this moment, especially talking about yoga. What makes your book special or unique? Other than you wrote it.
Yes, right. The accessibility. So what I was really looking for was to offer it to people who otherwise might be intimidated or not feel that they could do yoga. So I wanted to find those people who were very shy about it. I know a lot of people have found it because their friends say, hey, this will work for you. And so they've been introduced to it. And also, so that's the main group. But that secondarily a group, people who are practicing yoga and think it's just in the classroom, on the mat. And if they miss their class, they're going to be frazzled and be uncomfortable. And for them to realize this is a way you can learn to integrate it, make it more of a lifestyle, your practice. So I think those are the two main aspects that make it a little bit more unique. It also is research-based without being overly technical. So again, I try to make it a easy read, and that's what people have told me, that they can read it and grasp the concepts easily.
And what are your hopes for this book?
Well, I see it as book one. I could see a whole series of books. So you mentioned my background in prenatal. So 2-minute yoga for pregnancy. I do a lot of work with parents, parent education, so for parents, for children, for seniors, and then also for specific conditions. It could be one for heart disease or back pain, or I think it could be potentially endless. So as long as I'm getting feedback from people and hearing what they want, I'll keep developing books. And the current one, interestingly, the next one I'm working on is travel. So I've had a lot of people say like, wow, this makes so sense for travel. Could you develop something for me that I could use while I'm traveling?
Oh, you mean to practice when you're traveling?
Yeah, like on the airplane or on the train or at the bus stop or whatever kind of traveling that you might be doing. So I actually have some practices out there being tested right now because I test all my practices. It's not just from my head. Yeah.
This is your research, your homemade research in a way.
Yes, yeah, right.
You did this for the previous
Yes,
book.
right. So I wrote up the practices and then I said, hey, can you understand what I said in the first place? Does it make sense? And then tell me what you got out of it to make sure that it, as I said, it wasn't, sometimes we get good ideas and then when we try to make them practical, they don't work. So everything's test driven.
Nicole, how could people be in touch with you?
Well, I'm online. And the book is easy to access through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can go to the website, the 2-minute yoga solution, the numeral 2, and there's a picture of the book. Just click on that and that'll take you to a place you can learn more about the book and purchase it. But I'm also have a lot of videos on YouTube and I'm on Facebook and Twitter. But what I'm really excited, what I've been doing is that I have a Ustream channel. That's TWO2. They wouldn't let me use the numeral 2 on there. And Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I offer a 2-minute yoga practice. And I break it into 3 parts. So I have a little short pre-talk about how to be safe, or maybe just talk about lifestyle issues. Some people like to hear about diet or menopause or whatever the topic might be. Then we have our little 2-minute practice, and then there's a chance where I actually can interact with people in real time. So there's an after talk. So there's a chat stream, so I can see, so people can just wave and say hello. They can ask questions and give suggestions for future shows.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming back, because when you were here last, I wanted to talk to you about the book and we didn't get the time. So thanks for coming back, and thanks for writing this book, and good luck with it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My guest today was Nicole DeAvilla. She is an Ananda Yoga Therapist with a background in sport medicine research, chiropractic, physiotherapy, dance, and writing, and the author of a book entitled The 2-Minute Yoga Solution: Fast and Easy Stress and Back Pain Relief for Anyone at Any Time. She was one of the pioneer yoga instructors in prenatal, postpartum yoga and yoga therapy, and is currently a member of the International Association of Yoga Therapists Accreditation Committee. I hope you liked our show today, and if you care to let me know, send me an email at antonio@yogiviews.com. I look forward to seeing you the next time.